Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Jason Mackey's First 10, a quick hit podcast to get you ready for the day. A lot of stuff going on around here, all sort of different avenues, we'll say. Doubleheader for the Pirates. They split the first poor start of Jared Jones' career. I think that's okay. Paul Skenes was dominant in the second game. Had some news Major League Baseball-wise before the game, talking about incorporating Negro Leagues stats into MLB records. We'll discuss that a little bit. Penguins getting started up, some Steelers stuff going on. Anyway, thank you for watching as always, and want to remind you that we are, of course, sponsored by the North Shore Tavern. You don't have to be a baseball fan to love it there. Their interior is wall-to-wall Pirates. Their appetizers, entrees, cocktails, and, of course, steak and seafood on a sizzling lava stone. Open every day. The North Shore Tavern across from PNC Park is Pittsburgh's home for steak on a stone. So a lot of different things I can start with. I think I'm going to start with the Negro League stuff because I think it's fascinating. I've seen some differing opinions about this too, and I'm a little bit confused by it, why this could be a bad thing. And where I go with that is looking at things that happened, prior to 1901 or in different eras of Major League Baseball. They are different, right? Just like the Negro League stats are different. That doesn't mean they shouldn't be included. That doesn't mean they're not Major League players. And I guess you could look back and say, well, it wasn't the Major Leagues. It wasn't any. One, it was still very, very good. And two, the definition of Major Leagues, I don't understand that. I'm all for inclusion. I am all for looking at things in different eras, different ways. I think we inherently look at something today and think that it's not necessarily the same as 1907. So, okay, you can look at where the games were played, the quality of competition, which personally, I don't think any of us really know, but as much as you read in the talent there, I don't see how you can take issue with the quality of competition. Maybe the definition of the Major Leagues, but I think it's a very gray area, and I don't understand excluding that sort of stuff. So anyway, I for one, am very happy to see that. Maybe talking to people closer to the situation, Sean Gibson would be one of them, seeing how much that means, but glad that came to a head. A little surprised that it took 3.5 years, but in any case, I don't completely understand the statistical, what would you call it, undertaking that was required out of that. That's something. So it took a little bit more time. I want to highlight one idea, though, from my conversation with Sean Gibson that I think will probably get some legs, and I think you could see. He wants to, every May 2nd, have a Negro Leagues Day all throughout Major League Baseball. And sort of similar to Roberto Clemente Day, Jackie Robinson Day, take one day, block it off, and talk about all things Negro Leagues and wear Negro Leagues uniforms or whatever. That would be especially cool here, I think, with Pittsburgh Crawfords, Homestead Grays, the amount of history that the Pirates could draw in. The Pirates could absolutely be a focal point for that. And I hope that's something that does happen. I think it's something that's long overdue. The more attention we can pay to that stuff, the better. So as far as actual topics, was a little bit worried, to be honest with you, after the first game yesterday. Watched both. Jared Jones, the fastball command early on was not great. We've seen the fastball command be so pinpoint. I also liked his post-game interview, where essentially not making any excuses for anything, nor should he. It wasn't good enough. That said, are we really going to get upset over Jared Jones? And I don't think anybody is. Those fears were erased rather quickly. And want to discuss a couple things from the second game. Mr. Paul Skenes would be one of them. I want to step back for a second now that we're 4 starts into his MLB career. And this is the question that I would ask. This is the question I've been asking in my head. Is this better or worse than what we expected? I think it's better. I really do. I think Paul Skenes entered this scenario with so many high expectations, so much expected of him, etc. And he has delivered on every front. And I think the thing that resonates with me most is not necessarily the triple-digit heat. That's been great. Breaking ball command at times has been very good as well. But the splinker has turned into a 40-50% pitch for him. He's throwing it a variety of ways. He's throwing it for soft contact. He's throwing it more and more for chase. I was amazed with how much some of his strikeouts yesterday, 6 of 8, something like that, I'm looking real quick, came with the splinker. He's missing bats with it with regularity. Um, he just seems to be getting better as a pitcher, where he's doing all of the stuff that he was doing to get to this point, and he's incorporated a new pitch that he's using multiple ways. It's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive when you think about what he's done, what Jared Jones has done, Mitch Keller, Bailey Falter. We're down the rabbit hole of the starting pitching, but it's been really good. Then what? Well, you figure out the offense. And I would argue that over the balance of May, we're winding down here, and we're going to start to see some post-May reflections. Do the Pirates have enough offensively? If Nick Gonzalez sticks, that's a very big thing for them. Andrew McCutchen is starting to get results. Very big thing for them. Connor Joe's been consistent and pretty solid. I'd argue that O'Neal Cruz had a very good month of May. I'm betting that Brian Reynolds is going to hit. There are certainly other questions about the team right now, right? Like, who's going to provide offense behind the plate? Is what Henry Davis is doing in AAA, is that going to translate eventually? Can Jack Sawinski find himself? Can Brian Hayes stay healthy and get back to the level of production that he had over the final 2 months? Fair questions. Does G1 Bay come up and do anything? What about Rowdy Tellez, Michael A. Taylor? I'm going to make a point on that in a second. But is that enough? I think so. I really do, which would turn my attention to the bullpen and fixing some of the issues there. But that should be enough offense for this team, given the starting pitching that they've gotten. Now, does it hold? I mean, that's a fair question to ask. Is Nick Gonzalez a mirage at this point, or is this who we think he really is? I don't know. Is Connor Joe going to potentially get exposed playing against righties and lefties? I don't know. But if what we've seen in May holds, to me, that offense is good enough. If what the bullpen did in May holds, that's not good enough. I think that's stating the obvious, right? We've been down that road. David Bednar has actually been better. Aroldis Chapman has been a huge disappointment, which we've discussed, for $10.5 million. Just think of some of the other stuff they could do with that money. Colin Holderman's been excellent. And if you look at their 5 main guys going into the season, they've gotten nothing from Ryan Borucki because he's been hurt, and Carmen Mlodzinski has taken a decided step back. So, I mean, that part of it is discouraging, and I'm not quite sure where that leaves them going into June. But I am encouraged by seeing enough starting pitching and seeing enough offense. I think that does it on the Pirates topics for today. Wrote a column about Vince Trocheck, by the way, kind of an off the beaten path one in the NHL postseason. What a fantastic player he has become. Really, I like watching him. Was watching that the other night. And every time I watch Vince, I think the same thing. And also how great he'd look in a Penguins uniform, although we've gone down that road. And that obviously didn't work out too well, unfortunately. But some numbers from that story that maybe surprised me. I knew a little bit about them, but not totally. Averaged 26 goals a season with the Panthers from 15 to 18. Had 9 goals in his first 40 NHL playoff games, but has 8 in his past 14. Nobody in the Eastern Conference Final has more than Trocheck's 19 points. You think about it. Take a step back and think about some of our guys from Pittsburgh who have done really, really well in the NHL, all part of that 2011 draft. John Gibson, Brandon Saad, JT Miller, Vince Trocheck. All 4 have inked long-term, very lucrative, good for them deals. Trocheck 7 years, $39.75 million with the Rangers. And think back a couple years ago, it was kind of Evgeny Malkin, if he comes back, or Trocheck was an option they considered. I don't love that idea, and I wrote this in the column of it being like either or. It kind of shouldn't. I mean, if you think about the way the Penguins are currently constituted or have been constituted when they've been successful, they theoretically should have been able to fit that deal under. Now, it would have been tight. You would have had a lot of money locked up into centers, but they've got an $11 million defenseman essentially right now in Erik Karlsson. So you'd think they could do it. But that being said, Trocheck has been outstanding for the Rangers. That series has been a lot of fun to watch. That game is tonight. We'll certainly be watching that one, and can't help but root for Vince Trocheck. He was really good. He was really good to me while I was on the beat, and every time he came into town, he had some funny stories about trick-or-treating at Jaromir Jagr's house and other stuff, just growing up as a hockey fan in Pittsburgh, and it never ceases to amaze me how much impact those guys have had on the game. So, all right, I think that does it for me. Actually having a breakfast this morning with Gene Collier. Hopefully I can convince him to do a video and appear on this podcast from time to time, and then going to head over to Steelers, and we'll probably have something from there. So make sure to like and subscribe. You can get this video and all the stuff from the rest of our Post-Gazette writers and reporters. We'll be back here tomorrow and talk to you guys then.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.